Put me on the spot.
Well, I made a promise to my mother that that I would be one of the first sons to get a degree.
I had a son right before my senior year, and he's just my everything.
Growing up in the city of Detroit, every time you go outside, you see less fortunate people. So even though I had a bunch of times I wanted to quit, every time I went outside the city, I was just so motivated to finish.
I was really encouraged by my family, especially my mom, to go back and get my bachelor's.
My sisters, my parents.
This is my mother. I put her on the back of my mortarboard. And she passed on, and I finally decided to come back and finish what I promised my mother, and what I promised to myself was to get my degree, to be the first to get the degree in the family. And I did that, and I'm 60 years old.
My biggest inspiration to finish are my parents. Coming to America, they came with nothing. So doing this for them and to make them proud and, you know, become something in life.
No matter what happens, nobody take that away from me, and I'm proud of that.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Okay, well, I know it's early, all right? But I gotta tell you, so yesterday morning was engineering. They were okay as far as their enthusiasm. The afternoon was business and nursing. They ramped it up. But then last night, education and social work really knocked it out of the park. But see, historically, CFPCA has been the loudest, and I think CLAS, you can match that with CFPCA. So we'll get this theater really moving this morning. Good morning again to everyone. My name is David Strauss, Dean of Students, and on behalf of the Dean of Students Office and the Student Senate and all of the student organizations, let me be the first to congratulate all of you gathered here this morning to celebrate a great milestone achieved. Today, commencement is an exciting and memorable occasion for all of us assembled here. It's also a solemn and respectful one. And leaving before the ceremony has ended is disrespectful and disruptive to everyone. So we ask that graduates and guests please remain for the entire ceremony to celebrate with every single awesome graduate here today so your families and friends can enjoy all of this. And now, will everyone please stand as the Wayne State University Wind Symphony calls the ceremony to order with the traditional opening march. I present to you members of the faculty and the candidates for PhD degrees. I now present to you members of the Wayne State University Board of Governors, the president, deans, members of the administration, and honored guests. Thank you. Please continue to stand, and gentlemen, please remove your hats for our national anthem and the first verse of the hymn to Wayne. You will find the words to the university hymn on page 3 of your commencement program. Our soloist this morning is Catherine Conley, a vocal music education student. Catherine.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? To thee, our alma mater, homage we bring. Brave hearts raise grateful voices, thy praise to sing. Young art thou, young and strong, renowned shalt thou live and long. Honors to thee will throng, and fame to thee cling.
Please be seated. I want to take a quick minute here to thank Catherine. Catherine Conley, our soloist, has been doing this at commencements for 3 years. Every ceremony, every fall, every winter for 3 years. and she is graduating with you this morning. We thank her so, so much. And now I would like to introduce our Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Keith Whitfield. Provost Whitfield.
Well, good morning, everyone. And welcome to the beautiful Fox Theater for Wayne State University's May 2019 commencement ceremony. It's my honor to start this morning's ceremony by introducing you to the 2019 winter and spring-summer graduating class from the College of Fine, Performing and Communication Arts and the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Will all of our graduates please stand? Congratulations to all of you for reaching this day. Thank you, and please be seated. Commencement Day is a day of celebration for the entire university. With us this morning, taking part in this celebration, are members of the university's academic and administrative leadership. You'll find their names in your program. I ask the deans and senior administrators seated on the platform to rise and be recognized. Let's give them a round of applause. Since 1868, Wayne State University has anchored the city of Detroit as an engaged and motivated community of scholars. Wayne State is one of the nation's 50 largest public universities and Michigan's most diverse student body. Today, more than 27,000 students from nearly every U.S. state and many countries from around the world are pursuing degrees at Wayne State University. Each one is earning an education at a nationally ranked research university which is strengthened by the culture, industry, and environment of our urban setting. We believe in the definition of a university as a place where highly motivated people of differing backgrounds and aspirations may pursue both knowledge and personal growth. I know all of you gathered here today have been able to experience all that this great university has to offer. You have grown in knowledge and developed your skills in the fields you have chosen. I think I speak for all of us by saying we're very proud of you. Now, I know that each one of you went through a lot to get to this point, but this moment is not only for you, it's also for your families, friends, who made lots of sacrifices so that you could succeed. There's no such thing as a self-made person. We're all shaped by the influence and examples of everyone around us, our family, our friends, our faculty, our staff. All have helped you get to this day. They are all teachers and mentors in their own ways. Now, to stress the immeasurable importance of these people, I would like to ask our graduates to rise, and let's give those people a round of applause. Thank you, and please be seated. It's now my pleasure to introduce to you the Honorable Brian Barnhill, a member of the university's Board of Governors, who will bring greetings on behalf of the board. Governor Barnhill.
Thank you, Provost Whitfield, and good morning to each of you on this very special day. This is my first opportunity to celebrate Wayne State commencement, and I'm very glad to be here with you. On behalf of the members of the Board of Governors, with acknowledgement to our very esteemed president and administration and faculty, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome all of the graduates of the class of 2019 and to extend to you our deepest and most heartfelt congratulations. Today's celebration in this beautiful theater is a welcome tribute, and it is an acknowledgement of what commencement means to each one of us. This is a place that instills such hope for our dreams and so much wonder for the future. You have worked very hard to achieve those dreams, and you should be very proud, as we are, of your accomplishments. Wayne State University is an outstanding institution, and today you join more than 250,000 alumni who call our university their alma mater. Our vibrant campus is a tribute to our students and of the unwavering faith that we have in your ability to succeed. Your dedication and commitment have brought you to this moment and have set you on the path for your future success. I'd also like to take a moment to introduce other members of the Board of Governors who are with us for today's program, and I ask that they stand as I call their names. Governor Michael Busuttil and Governor Kim Trent, the chair of our board. And again, on behalf of the Board of Governors and from our entire Wayne State community, congratulations to each one of you, and our best wishes are with you for your continued success on the road ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Barnhill. A very important group among us has had a great honor: the education of these fine men and women. I'd like to introduce Paul Beavers, Academic Senate Representative and librarian from the University Libraries, who will bring greetings on behalf of the faculty. Mr. Beavers.
Thank you, Provost Whitfield. Good morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to see this auditorium filled with Wayne State graduates who are so fully ready to face the world. On behalf of the faculty of Wayne State University, I would like to offer each of you my warmest congratulations. This is a day of joy for everyone who's here, for the students, their parents and family, the administration, and the faculty. I hope that all of you think back fondly on the journey that brought you here today. I also hope that you realize the role that the Wayne State faculty had in guiding you to this important milestone in your life. Wayne State has over 1,000 faculty who not only convey received knowledge, but generate new knowledge. They conduct path-breaking research in their fields, establish national and international reputations for themselves, for their departments, and for Wayne State University. They have acted as your teachers, advisors, and mentors. They are scholars for whom teaching is a passion, faculty who have been devoted to helping you prepare yourselves for what promises to be a demanding future. Faculty who today take great pleasure in celebrating your achievements. The knowledge you gain here will, I'm very glad to say, likely enable you to get good jobs and earn better incomes. But more importantly, your education has helped you to think critically, to distinguish sound ideas from half-baked notions, news from propaganda, genuinely arguable propositions from sheer demagoguery. Education has empowered you to grapple with the divisive questions that beset our society with an insistence on justice and for all, and also in a spirit of mutual respect and inclusion. Your efforts here at Wayne have prepared you to continue your education out in the wider world. I hope that we, as faculty members, have taught you that learning is a lifelong pursuit. Life is going to demand much of you, and I am confident that the preparation you received here will serve you well. So with this in mind, I would like to ask all the faculty members in attendance this morning to please stand and be acknowledged. These faculty members and dedicated scholars are a big part of the reason you're here today. They very much appreciate your applause and recognition. Please be seated if you're still standing. Let me close by telling you that the faculty and administration are very proud of our graduates, and we look forward to hearing from you as you move forward with your lives. What you will become will be a source of real pleasure for those of us who were your teachers and mentors. You have graduated from a very special university, one that defines excellence in terms of who we include, not whom we exclude. A university that respects its students enough to demand much of them, but that also shows its students understanding and friendship. Today, we share your pride and your hopes for the future. Congratulations again on your success today. I hope you all continue to learn and wish you the very best in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, Mr. Beavers. It's now my distinct pleasure that I introduce Wayne State University's 12th president, Dr. M. Roy Wilson.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the stars of today's show at the Fox Theater, the class of 2019. This is such a terrific day, and it's a program I most look forward to all year long. You all look pretty happy out there. And this is such an important celebration of success today. You've worked incredibly hard to reach this moment. Wayne State demanded your best, and you delivered. Your intellect, your curiosity, and your grit have carried you to this theater and this moment when you're poised to cross the stage and gain recognition for what you've achieved. Parents and families, you look happy too. I know that many of you were more than just supporting actors. Many of you played a pivotal role in helping these graduates get here today, so congratulations to you also. You know, you guys look really, really good out there. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, take a quick selfie. Thank you. You know, I'm on Instagram these days. And you can follow me at PresMRW. But not now, and I'll tell you why. Which brings me to one of my favorite lessons from my days in college, the subject of vaccines. And before you think I'm about to jump into the vaxxer, anti-vaxxer debate, let me just say that's not what I'm talking about. Although, as a medical doctor, I really do have to add, graduates, please vaccinate your children. And I'll come back to vaccines a bit later also. But have you ever noticed how people seem to live the most perfect lives on Instagram? Log on and you see millions of perfect selfies, perfect vacations, perfect meals, perfect business deals, perfect children, perfect lives, perfection. But this perfection, this pursuit of perfection is killing us, quite literally. Just last month, a man tumbled to his death while trying to snap the perfect vacation selfie at the Grand Canyon. And this is far from an isolated incident. But such extreme examples aside, Instagram is often labeled the most damaging social media platform for mental health, increasing users' levels of depression, anxiety, and FOMO, For the parents out there, that's fear of missing out. So how do we distance ourselves from this pathological pursuit of perfection? It's probably too late to just say, let's put our phones away. So here's my proposal. What if we flip the narrative, view the negatives of these photos, where imperfections showed our real selves, or actually exemplified our best selves, where our best lives were defined by our happiest accidents? Because sometimes, imperfections can lead to our greatest achievements. Consider Louis Pasteur, one of my heroes back from my med school days, the famous 19th century French scientist who altered the course of modern medicine and invented the field of microbiology. After pursuing university studies in chemistry, Pasteur had developed an illustrious international reputation as a chemist and a researcher. In an experiment involving immunology, Pasteur had been injecting chickens with the flu virus. He left town for a while, and when he returned, found that his staff had forgotten to inject the chickens, and the shots filled with the flu virus had been sitting there unused, idle, and weakening. I can picture Pasteur, upset with his staff at their negligence, distraught about the state of his experiment. If he had a cell phone, this would not have been a selfie moment. Nevertheless, he decides to continue with the experiment and injects the chickens with the weakened strain of the flu virus that had been lying around. Miraculously, when he later injects these same chickens with the full strain of the flu virus, they fail to get sick. And so, he rather accidentally turned the laboratory failure into one of the greatest finds of modern medicine, the vaccination. Now, that would have been a selfie moment, but perhaps being present in that moment without intrusive social technology allowed him to be even more present, to better appreciate the monumental discovery that he stumbled upon by accident because of a mistake. History is rife with examples like this, moments when what seemed like slip-ups become opportunities for transformative change. So, this is my advice to you, class of 2019. Don't hide your mistakes. Embrace them. Embrace your imperfections. Your time at Wayne State has prepared you for anything, including how to turn failure into success or mistakes into game changers. As Pasteur observed, chance favors the prepared mind. Use your prepared mind to be ready when opportunity comes, however way it may come, to turn your experiences into moments for positive transformation. Life will be messy, and this is how you will grow. Congratulations again. I wish you all the success of the imperfect. Thank you, class of 2019.
Thank you for those wise words, President Wilson. A distinguished citizen has been recognized by the faculties of the university for an honorary degree. President Wilson.
I ask the Chair of the Board of Governors, the Honorable Kim Trent, to please join me at the lectern for the conferral of the honorary degree. Will Governor Brian Barnhill and Governor Michael Busuttil please escort Jack White to the lectern. Wayne State presents a Doctor of Humane Letters degree, honoris causa, to you, Jack White III, for your dedication to the city of Detroit and your significant contributions to the arts as one of the most prolific and renowned artists of the past 2 decades. The youngest of 10 children, you were born and raised in Southwest Detroit. After graduating from Cass Technical High School, you worked as an upholsterer, played in underground bands, and even put in a semester at Wayne State before founding the White Stripes, a garage rock duo that revolutionized music. This hard-hitting, blues-influenced band produced a raw sound that could only be born out of a city of unyielding tenacity and hustle, a sound that could only come out of Detroit. No one, least of all you, expected that a red, white, and black two-piece band that once played in a show in Wayne State Student Center would take hold in the mainstream world, but that you did. Since then, you have won 12 Grammy Awards, and all 3 of your solo albums have reached #1 on Billboard charts. Rolling Stone recognizes you as one of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. You have collaborated with Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, Pearl Jam, and Beyonce, just to name a few. International acclaim aside, your dedication to your hometown never faltered. In 2008, you humbly gave back to the neighborhood you grew up in, gifting Southwest Detroit's Clark Park the funds to revamp baseball fields and build new grandstands. Once in disrepair, Clark Park now serves as a community anchor, providing programming and mentorship for more than 1,200 youth year-round. A true supporter of the arts in Detroit, you saved the city's historic Masonic Temple from tax foreclosure in 2013. A legendary cathedral venue located within the Masonic now dons the name the Jack White Theater in your honor. In 2015, you opened Third Man Records Cass Corridor, a wonderland for music lovers and curiosity collectors in the heart of Midtown Detroit. Third Man houses a full-fledged vinyl pressing plant dedicated to preserving the craft of vinyl record creation and generated new manufacturing jobs in the city. Above all, your limitless imagination has inspired countless artists to be bold in their creativity. Your brazen ability to stay true to yourself and to your roots exemplifies the very heart of this university. In recognition of an extraordinary career, your philanthropic efforts and commitment to the city of Detroit, Wayne State University proudly bestows on you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters honoris causa. Governor Trent, as president of Wayne State University, and on behalf of the faculty, I am pleased to present Jack White III for the conferral of the degree.
Thank you, President Wilson. By the authority of the people of the state of Michigan, is vested in the Wayne State University Board of Governors, we are proud to confer upon you, Jack White III, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, and with this hood and diploma, admit you to all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of that degree. Congratulations, Dr. Wright.
Thank you very much for this honor. It's absolutely incredible. I don't usually write things down, but I try to write a few sentences so I don't forget. As a teenager, I was a busboy in a restaurant in this building. So it's nice to be back here for a different reason. I went to high school across the road at Cass Tech, as you heard it, but I've never worn a cap and gown before because I didn't attend my graduation because I didn't think the cap and gown was worth the money at the time. But I do like the way this looks now. As for the money, I could only afford a few classes at Wayne State as well, which were classes in film. There was a moment I wanted to tell everybody about where a film professor, Professor Spalding, he had screened the film The Graduate, which you can all relate to today, I'm sure. The opening scene where Dustin Hoffman travels down a conveyor belt is juxtaposed with a shot of his luggage at an airport also traveling down a conveyor belt. The professor paused the film at a sign that was placed in the mise-en-scene by the director, and the sign read, "Do they match?" I audibly yelled out, "Oh my God," to the bewilderment of the students around me. I had an epiphany that has stayed with me to this day, that not all of art and creation was by happy accident, that much of it was done with purpose, and it was not only okay to do this, but the fulfillment of creativity to be able to convey ideas and metaphors at every possible moment. I began to attend film classes that I wasn't enrolled in at Wayne State, which I guess you're not supposed to do. But it was when I would find out they were discussing Citizen Kane, I couldn't resist, and I would sneak into the classes to learn more and more about that film. I needed to learn more. I learned more from that one film and that one scene from The Graduate about expression and purpose to last me a lifetime. It's with profound joy and pride that the Cass Corridor neighborhood where I went to high school, bussed tables, took classes in film, and performed for the first time on stage is now home to a new vinyl record pressing plant, providing jobs for Detroiters. We're producing records by the Stooges, the MC5, the Gories, the Supremes, Tamla, Motown artists. And as long as it stands, it will promote and produce works that are important to Detroit's history and evidence of its creative humanity. Thank you, everyone here at Wayne State, and thank you to the graduates. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. White. Now we begin the traditional part of the university commencement ceremony, the introduction of the candidates for degree from the schools and colleges gathered here this morning, the conferring of those degrees, and the diploma march. Over 4,200 students were eligible and applied to graduate during the 2019 winter and spring-summer semesters from our 13 schools and colleges. Candidates present at this morning's ceremony will now be presented for their degrees. The degrees are then conferred by the president, and then the awarding of the diplomas will follow the conferring process. So first, from the graduate school, the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy from the schools and colleges will be presented by Dean Guerra Lopez. These candidates will please stand.
Mr. President, upon the recommendation of the graduate faculty and the Graduate Council of the University, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
The candidates will please be seated. From the Irvin D. Reed Honors College, Wayne State University students celebrate a wonderful tradition of academic achievement. We're pleased to ask John Corvino, Dean of the Irvin D. Reed Honors College, to acknowledge the students who have earned university, departmental honors designations, and those students who have participated in the Community of Scholars program. Will these candidates please stand?
Mr. President, upon the recommendation of the faculty from the schools and colleges of Wayne State University, I have the honor of acknowledging these outstanding students who have completed the honors curriculum in either the University Honors Program or in their respective departments. They are wearing a gold collar in recognition of this achievement. I would also like to acknowledge those students who have completed the requirements in our Community of Scholars program. They are wearing a blue and gold cord acknowledging their excellence in academics and community service.
From the College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts, the master's and bachelor's degree candidates will be presented by Dean Matthew Seeger. The candidates will please stand.
Mr. President, upon the recognition of the faculty of the College of Fine Performing and Communication Arts, I have the honor to present these exceptional candidates for the degrees as listed in the commencement program.
The candidates will please be seated. From the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, the master's and bachelor degree candidates will be presented by Dean Stephanie Hartwell. The candidates will please stand.
Mr. President, upon the recommendation of the faculty from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees listed in the commencement program.
The candidates will please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, now the most solemn moment of commencement. As the President confers the degrees, will all candidates please stand? Mr. President,
the authority to confer each of these degrees is vested in the Board of Governors of Wayne State University by the people of the state of Michigan under the Constitution of the state. This authority is delegated to the President by the Board. Each of these degrees is granted on the recommendation of the faculty of the university. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors and upon the recommendation of the respective faculties, I do hereby confer upon you the degree for which the faculties have recommended you. Congratulations.
thank you. The degree recipients will please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the moment that all of our students have worked so hard to achieve, the receiving of their diplomas. Candidates receiving Doctor of Philosophy degrees will process first as one group, followed by the doctoral, master's, and bachelor candidates from each of this morning's participating schools and colleges. I call on all the recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to please come forward, and Dean Guerra Lopez to come forward as well.
From the College of Communications, Fine and Performing Arts, Tabitha Cassidy, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Michael Fuelage. From the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Corey Krabenhoft, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Donna Cashian. Madeline Tucker, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Daniel Kashian. Harsha Amarakasara, Dissertation Advisor, Professor David Kreitsch. Christine Arbor, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Jennifer Stockdale. Danushka Ekanayaki, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Claudio Verani. Malsha Hetiarachi, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Stephanie Brock. Indika Hewavitharana, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Stephanie Brock. Watsala Waduji, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Charles Winter. Supuni Thalala Gamaji, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Christy Chow. Whitney Wood, Dissertation Advisor, Tamara Hendrickson. Kevin Lorenz II, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Brady Baybeck. Kimberly Sachs McManaway, Dissertation Advisor, Professor Eva Golubiowska.
And now presenting the master and bachelor degree candidates from the College of Fine, Performing, and Communication Arts. John Rizzo. Mary Elizabeth Valisano. Cora T. Jackson. Natalie Gallagher. Zaina Beydoun. Carly Campbell. Taylor Sikorsky. Farah Harb. Michonne Gaydon. Julia Grzywinski. Vanessa Bishop. Angela Gaffney. Delveda Moses. Rhea Danielle York. Margot Danielle Stevens. Tamara Y. Beard. Daniels Gustavo Navarro. Allison Elam. Alexei Berg. Caleb Mims. Tajane Smith. Erica Rakowitz. Rhea Lynn Giudico. Kyle Clayton Davis. Stephanie Oben. Garrett Gaina. Justin Kerman. Alejandro Frank. Nadine El Saleh. Jacob Arp. Marissa Burns. Emily Ruda. Marin Kerjasic. Stephen Fannis. Cameron McGillis. Nathan Smist. Patrick Becht. Shelby Wright. Tara Gappy. Ashley DeWicki. Abdullah Ayed. Mary Ellen Warland. Sydney Cantney. Lisa Karaskowski. Ray Spruill. Jean Brown. Jacob Stocking. Miranda Malik. Fanny Porter Thiapen. Thigpen. Reagan Soriano. Clara Strakowski. Adrian Yonkis. Pamela Watkins. Kristen Solomon. Molly Sudi. John Burklow. Dasha Kuznetskaya. Riley George. Maha Hamayed. Joseph Gaskill. Aaron Coleman. Batul Shami. Veronica Grasakisa. James Haggerty. Colleen Rose. Morgan Bolds. Catherine Jennings. Asha Patel. Tierra Merriweather. Daisha Moore. Carly Irvin. Michelle City. Kimyetta McClellan. Peyton Monblow. Arnisha Tricina. Jacqueline Brustovich. Lauren Brooke Burnett. Joseph Axt. Danny Hamoud. Michael Blacher. Rosario Blocker. Caitlin McCoy. Jacob Joy. Mackenzie Korn. Matthew Woods. Kevin Keller. Jake Buchanan Rydell. Catherine Akers. Do you want to switch? April Ann Doucette.
Laura Marie Moore. Julia Barhuna. Sarita McKenney. Max Popkin. Brian Gibbs.
Rodriguez.
Kayla Alexis Rodriguez. Caitlin Bettendorf. Courtney Rebecca Bezel. Alyssa Matthey.
Josue David Camarena.
Aiden Lynn Smith. Timothy Heemstra. Samantha Welsing. Claire Cisco.
Sydney Goodman.
Sydney Goodman. Andrew Holderfield. Taylor Nondorf. Jumana Forkori. Christopher Morton.
Kratkevich.
Jake Kratkevich.
Bielecki.
Hannah Bielecki.
McCormick, Sarah.
Sarah McCormick.
Cantalina.
Natalie Cantalino.
Sheptar.
Lena Sheptar. Madeline Petz. Shannon White. Annalie Berry. Gary Hill Jr. Chance McDermott.
Megan Shapula.
Megan Shapula. Francesca Florence. Thomas Wolf.
Congratulations.
Michael Wolf.
Kolar.
Matthew Kolar. Mackenzie Zosnick.
Jennifer DeWalls.
Jennifer DeWalls.
Sotira Ceramedes. Sotira Ceramedes.
Sotira Ceramedes. Brittany Woods. Olivia Pope. Bianca Cashot. Madison Kuhn. Alexandria Burgle. Brianna Weatherington.
Cornego.
Chelsea Cornego. Allison Elliott. Jonathan Tockstein. Michael Dion. Jacqueline Heron. Anna Armstrong. Catherine Connolly. Adam Abed.
Littlejohn.
Daryl Littlejohn.
Just read the top.
Kayla Cockrell. Ryan Miller. Jordan Works. Brittany Lyons. Emily Connolly.
Aliana Shakin.
Aliana Shakin.
Stanulet.
James Stanulet.
Apolloni.
Laura Apolloni.
Easy enough.
Jessica Corey.
Garcia. Yeah. Garcia.
Andy Garcia. Martin Davis. Joey McLennan.
Hulkey.
Jacob Halkey. Michael Evan O'Brien.
Guerra.
Madeline Guerra.
Congratulations.
Madison Ham.
Kirsten.
Kirsten Walsh.
Sophia Pipus. Sophia Pipus.
Sophia Pipus.
Mia Hernandez. Darian Paisano. Abigail Grace Turner. Miranda Kanja. Hattie Shaheda. Robert Brewer. Caleb Gazalka. Sean Perlmutter. Kylie Hurwitz. Victoria Vaccaro. Sarah Kowalski. Yakeem Joshua Aaron Tatum. Nigel Tutt. Calvin Alexander Biggs Jr. Daniel Lebenbaum. Karina Ramirez. Hannah Owen. Elizabeth Casella. Cosette Daniel. Ava East. Hannah Beloli. Clarice Stewart. Michael Saad. Isabella Brown. Gabrielle Hebert. Caitlin Smith. Ginger Lightfoot. Elena Spencer. Alexis Ziemba. Laura La Pastora. Jessica Ann Rabin. Jacob Rimatsky. Jamie Yoon. Brooke Johnson. Reham Ramadan. Teresa Sue Riviera. Courtney Wheeler. Brianna Walsh. Anthony Morano. Gina Aula. Shireen Deza. Anthony Flores. Kelsey Slusarski. Yancy Johnson. Sarah Nelke. Teresa Carson. Shay Matt Manivon. Shireen Nassar. Diablo Mayor Bowman. Deshara Kirby. Carteris Carter. Latia LaViolet. Janika Green. Tiffany Marie Jones. Kenny Lachelle Lewis. Caitlin Starks. Alexis Sanders. Elena Miles. Hannah Fahum. Samuel Brown Jr. Tamisha Brooks. Joshua Hall. Eric Dubé. Raven Martin. Aja Meeks. Daisha Davis. Charlo Jarmans. Leticia Grijalva. Giselle Mansour. Jack Cowper. Christy McAuliffe. Juliana Zuick. Mary Charlotte Anderson. Asia Davis. Oh, Dasanki Asia Davis. Jamie Bigelow. Allison Pugh. Gabriella Shipman. Olivia Ifezue. Trista Rusano. Franzetta Pierce. Michaela Herod. Derek Coleman. Allison Branton. Henri Franklin. Rachel Ann Smith. Craig McNabb. Mesa Masri. Miss Lakeisha C. King. Danielle Izette Spears. Congratulations to our 2019 graduates.
And now presenting the doctoral, master, and bachelor degree candidates from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Dr. Katie Lynn Stevenson. Dr. Lindsay Kohler. Dr. Megan Turig-Ni-Cove. Dr. Geraldine Jones. Dawn M. Engel. Tessa Jozic. Jamie Segerson. Sarah Al-Schwaff. Matthew Barbish. Madison LaPalme. John Paul Taylor. Oshani Gulapali. Kala Millar. Jessica Coe. Ashley Selman. Gabrielle Austin. Nuran Watwat. Raquel Haruke. Holly Hostler Harms. David Chris. Raran Akarashi. Fatima Al-Zain. Oluwafemi Agrigaspola. Corey Johnson. Obada Mohideen. Diana Mansour. Kayla Gardner. Yusuf Isa Kosho. Tatiana Georges. Donna Saab. Diva Saab. Christian Rice. Kivana Patrick. Razi Konon. Robert Herzog III. Malak Amalathi. Natalie Hess. Michael Verdone. Mukanen Hallman. Ravel Gappy.
Marion Bizzi. Thomas Hayes. Yeah. Andrew Breckenridge. Qasim Sharafuddin. Thomas Schmel. Kelly Garvey. Hamadou Badzi. Aya Shabi. Sylvia Mativshavska. Michael Hobbs. Some presentations. Oops, sorry. Gilbert F. Church IV. Amanda Van Doorlot. Taylor Shahanian. Elizabeth Bettiner. Mary Kate McCarthy. Taylor Medrick. Michael Murray. Ashley Marie Mashke. Sarah Ingstrom. Danielle Lynch. Christopher Tati. Mark Z. Albrecht. Do I go next? Christine Parvasha.
Ukshay Bunzel. Zane Harvey. Connor Ashley. Robert Roos. Dylan Johnson. Jason Wilson. Sarah Hatoum. Alexandra Moses. Saba Fatabi. Anthony Fogel. Hannah Theodorovich. Junella Michelle Mojica. Abisha Ali. Shelby Hunt. Reem Mihana. Sterling Bailey. Marcy Murchison. Kyle Dolling. Janae Cornett. Asia Lucky. Rubina Islam. Delshan Reho. Fatima Berhani. Mustafa Hussein Yuns. Cameron Zillman. Shane Matthew. Michael Orlowski. Alexander Kammerer.
Ian Healy. Amber Reithmiller. Peter Dolanchak. Ashley McDowell. Thomas Pei, Stefano Apopoli, Ainsley Burgess, Stone Whalen, Aaron Collins, Greta Mutbauer, Frederick Williams Jr., Gay Shali, Ivana Shatulato, Maya Mistry, Matthew Itup, Zachary Shamashki, Max Denny, Kyle Grisbenek, Sarah Frizard, Shruthi Ramesh, Alexa Metner, Muhammad Ahmed Salah Isa, Deepa Islam, Courtney Renee Johnson, Osana Shuklim Rinke, Fazana Ahmed, Samiha Asan, Emina Boshkilo, Michelle Malik, Ali Habib Bazi, Ali Mustafa, Jake Buchanan Rydell, Brianna Bird, Caitlin Wysack, Joseph Adisho, Ziad Rita Khalifa, Seaman Ma, Julia Bird, Anita Zhang, Dominique Jones, Peyton Renee Armstrong, Gurpreet Kaur, Jessica Hamoudi, Fatima Essa,
Josephine Moransky. Nisat Ali, Lina Sami, Nazira Muhammad, Abis Malach, Kelly Rogers, Rishana Temple, Paige Verbano, Jackson Bartoy, Intisa Fawaz, Julian Kwangel, Joanna Kalin, Faye Jamal Ashamari, Quang Garland, Mary Zakar, Amanda Yosef, Megan Sitor, Athra Abdal, Aria Dine Moore, Sine Jen Buckling, Victoria Lieski. Rick E. Horaki. Christian Wayne. Christopher Perrin.
Marika Haynes. Bianca Benavides. Ashton Miller. Abigail Crispus. Boygden Hanseri. Rams Nunaza. Ali Kanifer. Zain Wahid. Abdul Khalik Banhariua. Sakura Donner. Sarah Gould. Caitlin Farmer. Madeline Matke. Riham Hemia. Fidel Ghazawi. Taj Al-Hassani. Summer Saeed. Obida Bitar. Arkham Hussein. Anish Hare. Amir Tamir. Ahmed Chaban. Lawana Sumpter. Caitlin Pasqua. Sarah Zindani. Anita Bendar. Olivia McKinney. Danielle Bielman. Miranda Moffitt. Alexandra Hudson. Melanie Kazan. Paige Tomac. Zara Ayua. Kelsey Bain. Joseph Pakaret. Cedric Mutebi. Sean Cara. Victoria Shuminsky. Nareen Sadik. Bianca Benuquista. Haley Baumgardner. Khalud El Haj. Fatima Darwish. Kelly Pauser. Jennifer Tomko Demestri. Amy Kenley.
Michael Barber. Ty Krukowski. Dimahaj Ahmad. Ellie Dean. Julia Timp. Hussein Rida. Rania Fardu. Lena Bazi. Ali Rida. Tierra Tofoya. Marva Malik. Johan Zachariah. Joelle Cobb Saunders. Amanda Jeanette Miller. Ashley Coleman. Edum Wadeen. Madison Botar. Ilamik Rankin. Timothy Cordell. Amani Nazal. Nicholas Waller. Amanda Herrera. Jessica Lynn Molnar. Emma Grace Grafis. Jose Cardel Nunez. Hassan Saad. Galia Swab. Jenna Mahadli. Austin Morales. Ayaku Jane. Amber Denha. Elizabeth Lewandowski. Dahlia Ibrahim. Nicholas McCourt. Linda Ordoyani. Sierra Shaw. Amber Walker. Tamara Randolph. Mackenzie Taribas. Hannah Geyer. Gabrielle Cacciani. Sydney Hayes. Cheyenne Yeager. Joanna Scanaroa. Evan Morton. Victoria Frederick. Julia Curtis. Lori Martin. Gazwan Al-Sabti. Julia Marie Lentz. Tamara Kawazmi. Sarah Ahiz Bayik. Rashid Nasser Al-Rashi. Hafidin Mashra. Mary Mata. Miriam Mala.
Michelle Darras. Sarah Marks. Hussein Ramadan. Morgan Peters. Kyle Tomlinson. Abigail Elistrom. Rebecca Resha. Sydney Schaffer. Lillian Ramspach. Piata Uchai. Gwibaki Badi. Nina Brombat. Brianna Greco. Emma Baidwan. Mansour Mubin. Liam Fuller. Sorry? Farah Safadi. Nadine Reyes. Muhammad Abraham Abraham Award. Nathan Ryan. Nicholas Safara. Madeline Gogwal. Judge Markram. Isaac Copeland. Elizabeth Sumnick. Alexa Moody. Megan Ross. Marian Taylor. Emily Lerman.
Jasmine Macier Gutierrez. Ty Fernery. Lauren Oppenheiser. Kayla Belovic. Paul Marshall. Congratulations. Douglas Haslett. Karam Razouk. Kara Mitrano. Karina Hanna. Anthony Hanna. Lance Maroki. Renee Nabati. Rowan Hyder. Teresina Malai. Florina Bibri. Yugasara Agoli. Casey Bendo. Minahil Munir. Afra Afrif. Renee Matthew. Paulina Alruiz. Stephanie Fruschauer. Iman Saleh. Zainab Malala. Zara Ahmad Hazimi. Dina Kashat. Amanda Larson. Iman Maklid. Ali Alahidi. Abdul Masin Gulum. Ramona Stamatin. Jeremiah Jean. Zechariah Jean. Alexander Laley. Haran Lee. Lena Jihad Abbas. Kijana Simone Malone. Margaret Elizabeth Martinez. Isabella Cubiliejo. Annelise Crabtree. Erold Pupa. Daisy Ference. Kareem El-Haj. Shannon E. Gillig. Camilla DeVol. Rolls Duffy. Mallory Downs. Kimberly Batchelor. Christina Simone. Natalie Salmon. Caitlin Clark. Ravi Paul Singh. Trudy Martinez. Kevin D. Hood.
Efren Munoz. Arnolfo Cuzares. Mutanya Mukalu. Khalil Al-Dairi. Ibrahim Sharu. Joseph Murphy. Ashton Lewandowski. Alan Michael Stoughton. Donia Al-Suri. Devana Fielder. Omni Sullivan. Naila Henry. Scotia Smith. Adam Hinton. Ali Fayor. Nashteen Tojan. Ramasahitya Kara.
Thank you.
Reshma Gadthi. Jihad Aliafi. Rosemary Joseph. Joseph Bata. Julius Gruma. Nicholas Shamami. Joseph Nanashi. Zaid O'Day. Yusuf Sheena. Noor Alloway. Trisha Jacob. Liates Maliakal. Urvashi Gupta. Jarafa Shari Harsha. Shannon Cholak. Siddharth Turamala. Zainab Al-Shakali. Madi Berry. Alexa Brodak. Taya Belly. Jennifer Lowry. Shadi Batarse. Fatima Beydoun. Sarah Diab. Alia Bazad. Jaquila Johnson. Brittany Castle. Ali Al-Karsa. Rooney Kurdi. Ali Kurdi. Sonia Rafiq. Anita Hicks. Dominique Burton. Sarah Serafimowski. Alexei Metkovsky. Mohammed Damon. Christopher Greason. Robert DeVerst. Anthony Nardone. Joseph Dawood. Elisa Hyde. Shelby Zaiser. Ifer Mahmoud. Sai Kukunor, Dominique Rankin, Megan Berna, Benga Anyawale, Tandria Ford, Joanna Ibrahim, Kafa Abasawada, Zara Jaber, Alinka Timar, Henry Kennedy Loeb, Toka Almaradi, Rhonda Jafer, Muhammad Nuruddin, Hassan Ali Shukar,
Malak Hamadi, Susan Bazzi, Hannah Rakin, Khalil Hamka, Ali Baghdadi, Emra Hada, Swat Salur, Daniel L. Sibia, Maria Nguyen, Rita Shendale, Mustafa, Jalina Williams, Christina Ristrovsky, Syed Ali, Samra Rana, Sharia Sutaria, Anthony Carabelli, Hajal Swalim, Mariam Akadal, Abil Rashad, El Shamia Abdi Badani, Julia Pasina, Matthew Silensky, Sam Soren Thomas, Bruno Kauai, David Jokai, Thoraya Aluhabe, Ahmed Ayotaya, Avian Abazi, Zakia Robinson, Jay Gostom, Catherine Vink, Samantha Guerra, Abbas Abdullah, Fatima Dakrob, Nicole Montaigne, Jamea Evans, Limi Sharif, Adeline Silvera, Amira Amlan, Christopher Issa, Nikhil Yadua,
Batul Ismaili Habab, Alam Dalal Hashwi, Mary Fuzaud Dreek. Marangelis Rosado. Ashi Aroha. Nuran Hamidi. Samantha Makowski. Othanas Economopoulos. Aham Nemo. Ahmed Basha. Noor Muqdad. Jakayla Crosby. Ali Husseini. Ryan Katz. Natasha Mosley. Ufaf Siddiqui. Haneen Mahoba. Caitlin Medasli. Brandon Davis. Aaron Darling. Bhavna Gudaguntla. Junhee Sunjay Metha. Moonshank Singh Jokth. Gloria Mansell. Amanda Drunkenmiller. Nivea Brown. Ejlal Samir. Congratulations. Angela Gorniak. Ashane Harris. Anthony Alnajar. Danavan Putris. Sumaya Ahmed. Maurice Farr. Sandy Banauer. Patrice Arnold. Khalil Kanua. Jasmine George. Shalini Tumala. Somya Sadagopan. Nadine Lubansky. Rania Rogan. Imad Shamak.
Wayne State University's strength and passion is exemplified by our students who work long hours and years to reach this moment in their lives. There's a group of graduates among us that have willingly taken on an even greater challenge. We owe them a great debt of gratitude for their service. So we would like to acknowledge this morning the students who are currently serving in and the students who are veterans of America's armed services. Would you all please stand? Thank you for your service. I would now like to ask Dean Stephanie Hartwell from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences to introduce this ceremony's student speaker.
Christian Rice is graduating from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences with a bachelor's in public health and sociology. As a proud Detroit native, Christian believes there's no other place as unique and special as the 313. She is a graduate of the Detroit School of the Fine and Performing Arts and has earned her associate degree from Wayne County Community College. Subsequent to that, she participated in the AmeriCorps City Year Detroit program, where she mentored and tutored some of Detroit's most talented youth. To Christian, being here is both a gift and a privilege, and she believes that fate brought her to Wayne State. From working at the Center for Urban Studies and then the Transfer Student Success Center, Christian has immersed herself in all corners of the university. She also participated in the Black Student Union and the Detroit Public Health Club. Her additional extracurricular activities include the 2018 Homecoming Court, Student Senate, in which she served as a senator for the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Alternative Spring Break in Detroit 2018 and 19, during which she volunteered at various organizations around the city, as well as serving on several committees. All the while, Christian has maintained a 3.8 GPA. In the future, Christian hopes to return to Wayne State to pursue a master's degree in public health. And I know personally she will achieve anything she puts her mind to. The first time I met Christian, she said, "Dean, what about that speaking at graduation thing?" And being brand new to the university, graduation wasn't even a glimmer in my eye. But here we are now. I'm very proud of her.
By Wayne State being in the heart of Detroit, it has helped me to realize that there are so many great people in this community and in this city, and I'm glad to have received Wayne State as my college of choice. All of my interests fall into public health. Sociology is just dealing with people, it's just understanding people, and so public health and sociology goes hand in hand in that, and that's one of the reasons why I chose those two as my fields of study. With the many opportunities and experiences I've gained here, it allowed me to see the many ways in which that I could serve my community and how I'm standing on the shoulders of someone else. And now it's up to me to be a leader in my own community. My name is Christian Rice, and I am a Wayne State warrior.
Class of 2019, we made it! First, I would like to give glory to God because without Him, this would not be possible. I would like to thank my parents, family, and friends for your support throughout my educational journey. And would like to give thanks to Dean Hartwell, the Board of Governors, President Wilson, Provost Whitfield, Dean Seeger, Dean Strauss, and the great advisors, faculty, and staff members I've come to know. Also, shout out to Devana, Imad, Cedric, Charlo, Bilal, Dahlia, and my other public health, sociology, alternative spring break, and student senate colleagues. Lastly, I would like to extend a very special thanks to the one and only Dr. Ahmad Ezzedine for introducing me to Wayne State University. And now, graduates, I know that you're probably tired of research papers and presentations and schoolwork in general, but if you could please take out your invisible pens and paper for this very last lesson, that would be greatly appreciated. So, what does it mean to be warrior strong? You hear this all the time or see pictures of people showing off their muscles with the caption, "Warrior strong" below them. But is this slogan really about physical strength? So one day, for the sake of curiosity, I typed definition of warrior into Google, and 2 definitions came up. The first definition said, a pose in yoga in which the legs are held apart and the arms are stretched outward. Surely the slogan warrior strong is not about yoga. So I read the second definition, which said a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. Now this definition is okay, but it's missing something. So in a final attempt at learning, I clicked on Merriam-Webster Dictionary. This time, the definition of warrior was said to be a person engaged in some struggle or conflict. Hold on to that. Meanwhile, the definition of strong is the ability to withstand great force or pressure. I like these definitions. You see, the word war is in warrior, and obtaining an education is like war. As we all come from different places and have experienced different things, each and every one of us had to face challenges or systems that are in place to keep us from accessing our potential. But the thing about war is that it's much bigger than you or I. So we may be fighting different battles, but we are ultimately just fighting the same war. This means 3 things. First, it means that each of us are perfectly positioned where we're supposed to be in order to get to our purpose. Secondly, it means that your survival is linked to someone else's. And third, even though we all receive different degrees, the purpose of a degree is to use the knowledge that you've gained in order to make a difference in the world. Just like there are many people in your life who helped you prepare for the great battle of education, there is someone out there who needs you. It may be that sibling who looks up to you, or even that neighbor who feels alone. You have something inside of you that the world needs. Therefore, you are more important than you know. And as warriors of this university, of this community, and of the world, there is a unique role that only you can perform, and it is important that you do not take that role for granted. So being a warrior is about being a leader. It's about seeing the finish line and struggling just to cross it. So when you put the definitions of warrior and strong together, that definition is describing each and every one of you. So like warriors, you fought through sleepless nights, long papers, presentations, volunteer works, internships, studying for exams, working between classes, and taking care of your family members while trying to find a balance through it all. You may have even made coffee your best friend and faced pressure on every side, but you still managed to remain in one piece. Some of us are transfer students, international students, or even traditional students who have had similar but different educational journeys. But here we are, in the heart of the great city of Detroit, to claim knowledge and opportunity. And now, we stand here proud in our caps and gowns and can officially declare that we made it. So, graduates, without further ado, could you please stand and repeat after me? I am important. I have a purpose. I choose to be a light in this world. And I will always be warrior strong. Class of 2019, be bold. bold, be fearless, be blessed. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, for those inspiring words. And now, a welcome to the university's new alumni will be extended by Peter Caborn, Associate Vice President for Alumni Relations and Advancement Services and Executive Director of the Wayne State Alumni Association. Please welcome Mr. Caborn.
Graduates, join me in thanking Christian again for those amazing, amazing remarks. Congratulations to each of you. I'm absolutely thrilled and excited that Christian is now an alumna of Wayne State University. Each of you arrived as students when you entered this theater, but you are now so much more. You are powerful examples of success, and you've demonstrated that with grit and opportunity, anything is possible. As Christian reminded you, you've aced classes, you've connected with mentors, you've connected with faculty, each other, you've made friends, you've juggled life and work and study, all to get here today. And today, I am proud that each of you are now Wayne State University alumni. That means that you're now part of a community 270,000 strong. We have warriors in every part of Detroit, every part of Michigan, all across the country, and all around the world. That means that there are people virtually everywhere ready to help you find your next job, connect with the community, and help you get to the next step in your life. You are automatically a member of the Alumni Association. You don't have to fill out any forms. You don't have to send in any fees. All you have to do is make sure that we have your email address, because we need to make sure we can find you and communicate with you. We want you to use the association to keep updated on events and programs that we've designed especially for you. The Alumni Association offers many ways that you can stay connected to the university that hopefully has helped you get to where you are today. You can mentor students in your field, you can support a campus program you care about, and you can engage with fellow alumni at events in Detroit and around the country. I ask you to keep up with Wayne State through the news that we'll send you, but more importantly, we want to know about your successes. Send them to us. Send us your accomplishments, your milestones, so that we can share them with the alumni community. Take advantage of your Alumni Association's programs and services, and I encourage each of you to stay connected with us. On behalf of the Alumni Association, congratulations again on your accomplishments, and congratulations again today. I can't wait to see what each of you does next. So as you go out into the world to create our world of tomorrow, remember what Christian just shared with us. You're not just strong, you are warrior strong. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Caborn. Well, what an exciting ceremony this morning. But it's time to bring things to a close. So first, will all the PhD and master's degree graduates please stand? Congratulations to these students for their efforts and accomplishments in successfully completing their graduate degrees. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you, and please be seated. Now, will all the bachelor's degree students please stand? In a tradition continued in many great universities across the world to signify the completion of the undergraduate degree, the bachelor's degree recipients will now turn their tassels from right to left. We congratulate you. Thank you, and please be seated.
You all were spectacular this morning. Thank you so, so much. What a great, great morning. We salute the student, faculty, and staff volunteers who helped manage this morning's ceremony. And we give special thanks for you CFPCA students, one of your instructors and your fellow students, Professor Damian Crutcher, conductor, and members of the Wayne State University Wind Symphony. Leading the platform party to and from the stage this morning is the mace bearer, Paula Dora Duffy, past president of the Academy of Scholars, professor of neurology, and chief of the Division of Neuroimmunology in the School of Medicine. Thank you, Professor. Now, as we prepare to bring this morning's ceremony to close, I ask that the platform party please rise, and I ask that marshals please lead the members of the platform party from the stage. Concludes this morning's ceremony. Congratulations to everyone.